even with me having a full-time job, I was still able to manage working with getting a full album done, all in-house, right? You're talking about editing, mixing, mastering. It's a lot doing that. But if you're just getting started and you're looking to get some shows going, don't be afraid of it. Do whatever you possibly can to just write some songs, get a half-hour set and get up on stage, right? Because the moment that you do, there's going to be just a little bit of nerves that happen at first, but once you get the hang of it, that's where things get easier from there.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters Net podcast. I'm your host, Brian. And today, actually, welcome back my good friend, and actually, fellow brother from another mother, we want to say it that way, from the metal community. It's Sean from Devoted Fusion. How you been, brother?
What's going on? Thank you very much for having me on this podcast. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks again for reaching out there, too, because I guess
Sure.
you and the boys been up with some new material recently.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on for Devoted Fusion within the past couple of years. I think our last podcast, was it 2024 or 2025 that we recorded? It must have been around that time. But since then, we didn't have this new album that we're prepping for right now. So this podcast, this second time appearing here, I'm here to talk about the newest album that we're releasing called Ship Me to Heaven. And and this album is set to release on April 22nd of 2026. We are super excited in releasing this. And with that being said, there's currently three songs that we're promoting as part of this amazing album that's being released. The first song being In Ship, which is a music video that's out now on all streaming platforms, and we have the music video up on YouTube as well. All of the guys in the band are involved. We got a couple of local actors that were able to help out with this video, and we also had this produced by the amazing Tom Flynn, who's been doing a lot of great music videos for big bands across the globe. Some, just to name a few, he's done music videos for As I Lay Dying, Killswitch Engage, Lamb of God, you name it. He's done the works with music videos, and it's just tremendous to have him a part of such a great music video here with InShip. And it was also, I should mention that it was recorded at Threshold headquarters. For those that are in the Long Island, New York area, you pretty much know what happened with Threshold, and for the amazing 3 years that it's ran through. Recently, we found out through a post that they they had a fire from the building next door, and it affected some areas of Threshold. So there's been a GoFundMe link ever since the beginning that it happened, and every single donation counts. So if you have time to do whatever you can to donate to Threshold, they're really looking for the most amount of support as ever could be. I know there's been a lot of donations already, which is a really good sign seeing that. But in any case, if you have time and if you're able to donate, do whatever you can to help. Obviously, I wouldn't require it for anybody in particular, but that's just me trying to send a message and be helpful with that. But Threshold was such a great place. We had such an amazing music video recorded there with Tom Flynn, and that, of course, was the first single that is out now. We also have two more singles as part of the Ship Me to Heaven album, which are named Abandoned Ship and Shipwrecked. Now, Shipwrecked is the heaviest song from our entire discography. So if you're looking for a heavier song, which has more of the influences like Opeth, Between the Buried and Me, The Contortionists, that kind of stuff, you're looking for Shipwrecked. Everything else is pretty much, all of the other songs are terrific and more of our style kind of music. But I think we just went, the extra mile with Shipwrecked as far as that goes. But all of the songs, all of the 8 songs on this album, they are all fantastic. I did all of the mixing, mastering, editing on this album, for the first time ever. And it was a giant, complex workload beyond belief. Like this thing, to do all of this, in a home studio setting and do all of the editing for every single instrument of the drums, the guitars, the vocals, the bass, to do all of that and come away with a very nice album to release is just something that I really, I mean, you can't put it into words. Like that's the kind of thing. It just means so much that you talk, you want to be able to talk about the challenges that were in the way with this, but you just don't know where to start. It's just so amazing to be at this position now where we're finally releasing this music and we're getting the most amount of recognition that we could ever ask for. So we have very exciting stuff in the works, and that's just to start. I have plenty more to talk about, but I'm sure you have more questions for me. I just explained a lot all in that one question, but we have a lot of exciting things to come along with that Ship Me to Heaven album to release.
It was like 6 minutes later. Now we jump into the next question. Actually, no, it's actually a pretty good story there too. Because actually, Philly audience, Sean actually came down. He was visiting a friend in my neck of the woods of Pittsburgh, and I have to laugh because we went to a baseball game. It was the Pirates versus the Yankees. Unfortunately,
Pirates. Yep.
Well, unfortunately, the Pirates took that one, even though the Yankees took the series. So, sorry.
It was still a great series all around. Like I was just impressed. That was a game where the Pirates, they had the advantage. It was the 9th inning. It was a 4-1 lead for the Pirates, and then the Yankees came back to tie it 4-4, and all of a sudden it became a very interesting view, and the Pirates ended up winning with Tommy Pham, that became the Yankees' enemy, to to finish it off in the 11th inning. But it was still a fun game. The Yankees were known to to get a high caliber level of talent on their roster, but nothing much you can do in that case. The Pirates had to win some games here and there, but it was still a great series, and I'm glad the Yankees won that series. But it was great series all around, even with the Pirates winning the last one. So
we had to cut the day before. Then he would be much happier leaving. Then
yeah, for you it would have been so much happier.
Actually, I was freezing my butt off over there, so I was more worried about getting sick. So that's why I was like,
oh yeah.
So
yeah, because health is a concern. You definitely want to focus on health first.
That's what I was saying. Like, can we please go? Because I think it was like the 11th inning at that point. It was probably right before he hit the game winner, to be honest.
Yeah, so. But you know what? It's good that we got to see everything that we could from it. So that's the main thing.
That's for sure. I guess sports wise, I guess kind of just having to deal with now just the Islanders and Rangers, since the Giants, Jets, and even the Yankees too.
Yeah, I really don't know what's going to happen with the Yankees coming into this next season. Islanders are looking really good. I do enjoy that. Screw the Rangers, by the way. The Islanders are doing very well. I love what Matt Schaefer's doing. Especially when they picked him up in that draft. Like me and a friend of mine, we actually went to that draft party in UBS Arena, and it was like it was just $5 to get in for that, which is quite a deal for the draft party because everyone kind of predicted it was going to be Matt Schaefer. There were a couple options that seemed like they were lingering in the direction, but I couldn't be happier with the pick that they made on Matt Schaefer. It was a fun experience seeing the draft, and even funner experience to see the Islanders play the way that they should have played so many years ago. They're winning games. They're making clutch wins in the third period instead of choking in the third period. They're doing a really good job. And I mean, I think the Penguins are doing at least a somewhat better job than what they had with Mike Sullivan, because now when you see Mike Sullivan on the Rangers, it's a crapshoot. So that's I think it's we're both in kind of a beneficial situation with our teams. We really know that we've made progress one way or another. So
I'd say hockey's your only hope at this point because unfortunately your football and baseball kind of a toss up, really.
No, they have not done as efficiently as how we expected with that. But I think the John Harbaugh signing that happened recently, that actually was a huge pickup for the Giants. Even though I was more of a quote unquote Jets side, even though I just laugh at them. I don't really say I'm a fan of them. I just laugh at them. But I think that for the Giants fans, having Harbaugh as the next head coach is a really good sign. Because you want someone with the experience. You know that he's won games. Plenty of them, made the playoffs with the Ravens. So it can be a very beneficial sign for that matter. So.
It remains to be seen, but he's got a lot of work to do, to be honest. But
yeah,
I say Jackson Dart. Yeah, he has potential. I thought he would do a little bit better, but I was kind of a little.
He has potential, but I'm just worried about how he's been essentially like Daniel Jones before, where he's made a lot of rushes, and it's like head first rushes. You could only think concussion protocol at that point. So, we just hope that he understands health with that being said, but you got to play tough, and he does play tough. Jackson Dart is a really good quarterback. So I do have, a lot of interest in hoping that this progresses as, we go forward, that, Jackson is in fact the guy for this team. So.
We shall have to see, but good luck with John Harbaugh, y'all.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, I guess since we last chatted, and I think he picked it up a good bit, I guess, so you came out with 3 new songs. I guess you guys planning on doing an album soon or more of an EP for this year?
Yes. So, Ship Me to Heaven is a full album. 8 songs on this, and I'll give you the name of the songs here for those that don't know. So just to list it in order, right? Inship, Companionship, Battleship, Abandoned Ship, Shipwrecked, Worship, Ship Me to Heaven, and Membership. Now the album length is 34 minutes. The longest song that we've recorded is Ship Me to Heaven, which is the 7th song. So when you hear, the whole album, you're going to recognize that Ship Me to Heaven is the longest song from it. And all of these songs, tie up very nicely. Now, you notice something very interesting from hearing all of these song names. You're hearing the one word in every single song name. Well, this album is actually not about ships at all. This is a very, very serious and emotional story that I feel like should be explained a little more in detail, right? So this album, it talks about anyone in particular who dealt with a battle that they could not physically win. And therefore, they faced this battle And I think a good example can be when my uncle Bill that had passed away in 2014, he had dealt with lung cancer. And unfortunately, he had passed away due to this lung cancer, right? But he needed the support as much as he possibly could in order to, face that and just try to get the lung cancer to go away as best as possible. In the end, it doesn't, it unfortunately didn't work out for him. But it matters when you have that support on your side to help you out, right? So starting from the top, right? So Inship is explaining the setting because Inship, the technical term Inship means to embark. That's exactly what Inship means, right? So what we're embarking is, let's say, this lung cancer occurred. Doesn't now the story itself doesn't have to be specifically lung cancer. This is just an example. But let's say the lung cancer occurs, right? You notice the reaction, right? So the thing that has to happen is, you have to go to the hospital, right? You have to be sent for help in order to know, what the answers are. It may not be something that you'd want to do, but it's something that has to be done. And therefore, you're embarking on that journey towards the hospital to see what the answers are, right? And the next song going down would be Companionship, which is number 2. And that song talks about allies that are around you, like the doctors, for example. They're there to make sure that they cure you and do whatever they can to, stop the mess one way or another, right? And then it goes down to Battleship, Abandoned Ship, and Shipwrecked, which all explain the battle that's going on internally, which, the lung cancer fights the cells and organs and whatnot in your body, right? And Shipwrecked being the one that really gives the final blow, essentially, right? And then Worship is, more of an emotional and sad song that explains the death of this person and just what may have happened that caused it. And the thing to remember in any case with anyone that passes away is that they are remembered for what they've done and the good that they've done. And, they're being sent to a better place in heaven, which is what shipping to heaven and membership explain in this sense. So it's meant to be a very emotional story that is captivating the mood for anyone in particular that dealt with a battle that they just could not physically win. Now, like I had mentioned before, this isn't just about lung cancer. It's about anyone that could be going through something else. Like, let's say it's someone that's at war, and they're, fighting off these troops or whatnot, right? It could also be about, something mentally wrong, right? Suicide. It's not something that anyone wants to go through, and we do whatever we can to have suicide prevention in any sense. So I think the message that I'm trying to explain with all this on this album is that for anyone that passes away and gets sent to heaven, they are in a better place, even though our main focus is to remember that they're the ones we care about the most.
Yeah, so was it you that kind of wrote the lyrics, or did everyone else kind of pitch in?
I wrote the lyrics for everything. So I did all of the lyrical writing, the guitars and vocals to this, right? So I did all of that. Jack DiGiacomo recorded his bass guitar recordings to this, and Brett Senzer recorded the drums. Now, do you want me to get into detail about the recording process, or is that like a later question?
I'm not sure if it would tie with the gear because I don't know if it was some new material you guys had that kind of helped out with this whole album concept. I guess.
Yes. So as far as recording this goes, this is the first time we've ever recorded an album by ourselves. We never went to a professional studio for any of this. I just happened to be able to have the tools like my audio interface that I'm actually using for this meetup right now. I'm using the audio interface from Solid State Logic along with the AKG P120 microphone to record with here. This was also used to record the album for my vocals. That's just like one of the examples, but I use the PreSonus Studio One program to record everything and edit and mix everything there. And Brett, with his drums and his drum microphones, he uses a program called Ableton to use all of that. So it just was a huge benefit having all of that to save us thousands of dollars to spend on going to a professional studio. I figured it would be so much easier doing it this way, to have it at a home setting rather than going there. Now, was this the easiest task? No, I had to go through way too many challenges, and I would not want to do a full album in this sense ever again this way. But the fact that we got it done this way is a true blessing. It really means a ton having it done that way.
That's good to hear. I guess in terms of Devoted Fusion itself, last time I think we met, did you have different members then, or have you guys had the same members since then?
So we, as of this year, for what we have planned, we do have new members. So Anthony Tria is the new bassist as of this year, and he brings a ton of talent to this band. He's got over 15 years of experience on bass. He's been active with local Long Island gigs before, so he's got plenty of experience, and he can help us out tremendously with the shows that we have planned in 2026. Now, Jack DiGiacomo, unfortunately, couldn't stick around for the long term after he had left after the recording of the album. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to stick around for the album release show that we have planned at Amityville Music Hall on Sunday, April 26th. But Anthony Tria will be helping out with that and future shows that we intend to have planned for the future. We are still working with more shows as we speak, but at the moment, the one that is announced is the Amityville Music Hall show on Sunday, April 26th. And we will be playing with our buddies in Take the Flame, Raminair, The Greater Us, and Gavel Down. It's going to be a great experience one way or another. But yeah, Anthony Tria is the newest member to our group, and Brett Center's the current drummer as of now. So I think that was the only lineup change, because the last time we talked, I believe it was Brett and Jack, as far as I remember. So yeah, that's the only lineup change as of now.
That's good to hear. And I guess all the bands you just mentioned, was that in some of your Facebook posts I've been seeing? Because is that what's coming up pretty soon here? I forget what day did you say it was?
Yes. So Sunday, April 26th. That is the Amityville Music Hall show. That's with all the bands that I just mentioned. Now, Take the Flame is coming from Connecticut, and I happen to find the rest of the bands myself, Raminair, Greater Us, and Gavel Down. They are all amazing hard rock and metal bands. They do a fantastic job with their live shows. I've been to all of them before. But Take the Flame is coming from Connecticut, and this was help from Moon Groove Records, who's also one of the sponsors at our show as well. but I got to check out, some of their stuff. They sound really good. So we're excited about this show, and tickets are available now online, and you can also get them at the door as well for that AMH show. So feel free to pick up a ticket if you plan on coming through and you're in the Long Island area.
Actually, I was going to ask that because I'm always curious, like how it works when you want to like get all these bands into this specific venue. I guess did you have to go to sponsors, or is there like some sort of promoters you could
Yeah,
turn to
there's
and be like,
usually so the way it works with Long Island and stuff is that they usually have like a requirement of a certain amount of tickets that need to be sold. So with a venue like this, where they have bartenders, they have a sound guy, they have a door person, they have security, they're gonna ask for a lot, unfortunately, and that's kind of the case when it comes to booking local gigs. I mean, for touring bands, they're probably gonna have the same story, but they're having like a higher requirement. But for local bands like us, we're trying to get onto a stage, but I mean, Amityville Music Hall it's got a really nice stage now. They recently renovated the venue in 2023 or 2024, either of those years. And I've been to the venue at least a handful of times, and the renovation looks so good. It's definitely worth checking out now compared to the shows we had there before. So, they've done a terrific job with their stuff. But yeah, as far as just getting the bands together, like I have a ton of contact with a lot of these Long Island musicians and bands, especially in the rock and metal scene. I focus very heavily on those genres because I know that they match the genre of music that we provide with our progressive metal band. So there's been a lot of great connections, and now with this show that we have coming up, it's a 10-year anniversary. We've been around for 10 years with different lineups. It's crazy, but we have so much to remember and so much good in that sense. So I think it's just great to know that I'm able to find bands and just hit them up and say, hey, do you want to play with us? Because the list only gets larger at this point. They're not disbanding at any point soon. So I think it's really good to know that we can make shows work out in that sense.
that's good to hear. I guess outside of this one, you guys can try to do any more shows in around Long Island or the state of New York?
We are trying our best to work with some other shows. I do enjoy the fact that we can have, local Long Island shows, and we probably won't be, worried as much if we play too many at this point. But I think, we definitely waited until the right time because, the last show we had was in 2024 and November of 2024, and we waited a whole like year and a half at this point because we wanted to make sure we came back at the right time. It wouldn't have made sense to start playing shows and then all of a sudden, just have an album release show when people already saw us before that, right? That wouldn't make sense. So we're coming back very strong, and I think it's safe to say that this, upcoming show at Amityville Music Hall is arguably going to be our best one, as long as everything works in our favor. We definitely want everyone to be pleased with the work that we've done over the years. Now, other shows that you mentioned, we're still technically working on that. I am looking into. I have a very strong prediction that we're going to have a show in Nyack, New York, which is about 2 hours upstate from where we are. I'm also trying to look into a potential Eastern Pennsylvania gig or a New Jersey gig. If that may happen, then that would be terrific. But I think, for the majority of what we have going on, we can stick to as much local shows as we can. But we are looking to get out there. We do want to try to get an out-of-state show at some point just to try to get something going. I did get in contact with at least a couple of bookers that do book in like the Allentown, Pennsylvania area. So I'm kind of hopeful, that we can get something going, but we just work with whatever we can possibly get. So.
I actually interviewed a couple of bands out of the Allentown area. It's
Oh,
a good
nice.
spot there too. A
Yeah,
lot more indie bands, yeah.
yeah. I was I think one of the areas I was researching and looking at was a place called Inkwell. It was right on one of the streets in Allentown. So, we'll keep ourselves on the lookout if something works in our favor with that. So,
All right, sounds good. Good luck this year, good soldier. So,
thank you.
I guess get back into the album. I guess even in ship as well. So I guess start with in ship here too. So I guess what made you guys want to do a music video, and were you kind of shooting for a Pirates of the Caribbean sort of theme going on there?
Yeah, this was an interesting way to go, and I intentionally made it like a pirate theme because all of the album I'm sorry, all of the song names on the Shipping to Heaven album, they have the word ship in it, right? So the only thing that I would think people are going to initially expect is, hey, this is about ships. I just explained before, it's not. But the initial point is ships. So the pirate theme was to kind of match the idea of ships being involved, and it's pretty cool. I love the production that was done to this, and we were able to get, like I mentioned before, we got a couple of people that were involved with this music video in the fight scene. I picked out all of the clothes for everyone, so it wasn't too difficult to find that much at least, and everything seemed to fit very nicely for these guys. But I think what was really cool was finding the skull mask. That was probably the most difficult thing for me to research and find because you wouldn't be able to find a normal skull mask that could actually like fit your head. Like I had ordered one like before the one in the music video. I had ordered one that was like one of those skull masks that like are fabric or whatnot, and I felt like I was suffocating in the mask. Like that's how bad it was, and I just had to like throw it away and be like, no, I'm getting something else with this. So it was literally like that. I just could not withstand. So I think that was the only difficult part when just figuring out what clothes to get for everyone. But I think it was overall a great music video, and we've received a ton of amazing recognition on that video alone. So, so now we just boost it whenever we can, and see who else is likely to be intrigued by that.
That's cool. And I was trying to think of what else in terms of music video there too, because it seemed like there was a lot going on. Because it was even like a ship like taking off, but it seemed like it was more a fight with death, or this is more like Davy Jones, sort of like trying to resist death. That's what
Yeah. So the fight scene, I felt like I had to try to squeeze in the fight between pirates to kind of give an idea of the storyline to it as well, right? Because in this sense, the climax to this story is more so talking about the internal struggles and how you're fighting off whatever demon is going on inside you. So that's kind of what the correlation to this pirate fight is about. Pirate fight is not meant to be just about two pirates fighting about each other. It's about battling this demon that you can't really seem to eliminate. So that's the correlation to that. Now, it could have been choreographed a little more towards the story, maybe, but I think it was better with the way that everything worked out, especially towards the end where the hero pirate just grabs the sword and just does a backstab on the enemy. I actually enjoyed that part very much. So just the way that everything was, designed and whatnot, and Tom Flynn was helping out with ideas of what could go on throughout the sword fight. So I gotta give him credit for all of that and everything that's worked out. But yeah, it was mainly to work with the storyline and how all that went.
Was this your first music video, or have you done other music videos? Second. So I guess how does it work in terms of like, want to say, okay, we want to do this music video. This is more just schedule a meeting and then say like, hey, we want to do this and we'll pay this much. Is that how it works?
Yeah. So the way it works, we normally book, I want to say like 6 months in advance. That's been the protocol, because normally, especially when it comes to booking with Tom Flynn, you gotta book far in advance because he has so much on his plate with music videos and stuff that goes on. It's a full-time job for him. It's something that he focuses very heavily on, and he does his job. That's the main thing. So it's mainly about booking in advance. Now, I think the only difficult part usually is the setting, because the first music video that we did was "Break It Even More" from the Hell Valley '88 album, which you've heard. That was recorded at their studios, which is a local studio that is mainly for like practices, and they do record stuff, but it's not ideally the kind of recording place that I would go to. But they mainly have it for practice spaces, and we just use the main room to record that music video for "Break It Even More." This music video for "In-Ship" was recorded at Threshold headquarters, which I had just explained about before. And Threshold is not really a music recording area. It's a video recording area. So it's got some cool lights. It actually was really good on the lighting. I will say that they did a fine job with getting the lights that we were looking for. I did enjoy the teal light. That was really good. And then the option to have the strobe lights was, flashing white lights around. So I did enjoy that. But Threshold is mainly for the video recording side. So that way, it kind of fits with music videos and all that stuff.
So you guys sort of treat it as like a practice session, whenever the cameras are rolling and they're doing any lighting on you guys. Is that how it works when you play the song during the music video?
Okay. So to kind of summarize that a little more. So yeah, it's more so like a practice space for that, for the video. But what we did with the recordings is we made sure we booked 6 hours at Threshold headquarters. We did that far in advance, and with each take, I think we had like 4 takes with just me on guitar, 4 takes with just Jack on bass, 4 takes with just Brett on drums, and then a few takes of the group, the 3 of us, right? And then after all of that, that's when they did the pirate scene, and took as many takes and shots of them as much as they could. So when it comes to working with the band portion of the video, you wouldn't believe how loud it can be, just having the audio the audio being played, and you hear these loud drums from our drummer. The overall track has to be so much louder than him, right? So you wouldn't believe how loud that can be. But then once you get to the pirate scene, it's at like a normal volume, because we don't really need loud audio tracks going on. We could just have it at normal, since there's no other instruments going on. But once it all blends in, and Tom Flynn uses Final Cut for his video production, then everything seems to work out very nicely. Now, I have experience myself with video editing and recording because I use DaVinci Resolve. Um, but I figured since Tom was already recording it, he's the one that's going to edit and do all this, so we just let him do that.
Actually, it was more so a question like, how do you deal with like the butterflies in your stomach there too, especially when it comes to
butterflies in my stomach.
Well, it's more so like being nervous, that sort of thing.
Oh, like no, I'm not nervous at this point. I used to be. The only time I really had like butterflies in my stomach was the first ever show we had in 2016. Just because you don't really, it's something you're not used to, right? If you start off doing something that you're not used to, you're gonna have a little bit of nerves, which is okay. That's a normal sign that you're getting yourself out there and you're doing whatever you can to just make a presence. And then after you get the hang of it, you start doing more, then it feels like, it feels natural. So at this point, since I've already had so many shows, we normally have a goal for each of our years that we're an active band. We have a goal of having between like 4 to 6 shows a year, given goal, of course. Subject to change, but when we get those shows going and we've already been through 10 years, then it just feels like it's the same thing. So I don't really have any nerves when it comes to shows at this point, or music videos for that matter. Sure, there's going to be nerves from all of us, as a group, just making sure that all of us are there and we have our stuff ready, but me in general, I've done it before, so it feels more like experience at this point, and I really don't have much of an issue at that rate.
Well, it's almost like that sporting event where you're always nervous, and then once it kicks off, it goes away.
Oh, but sporting events are fun. That's where that you just don't know what's going to happen in sports. Like literally anything, especially when it comes to hockey and baseball. There's only so many unexpected changes that can occur with that. So, I mean, football as well. This was a really good round of playoff football for a majority of these games that were going on. But yeah, that much I can understand. You have so many nerves that go on. I actually, believe it or not, I was at a Jets game. I think it was not last year. It was the year before. It was when Aaron Rodgers was on the Jets. And it was the game against Denver, right? And the only reason why I'm saying this story is because when going to a football game, know what you're up against. You have to know what you're up against, because let me tell you something. 2 days before the event, right? You're talking about expensive tickets as is. They were like, $150 per ticket, right? But you're going to the event, right? 2 days before the event. Almost no chance of rain. It's like 10%, maybe less, right? As soon as we arrive, about like an hour before the event, rain starts kicking in. We're trying to find one of our friends that arrives later than he should have, and just getting back, we're drenched in so much rain crap. And it was important that I say this because the Jets lost 10-9. They literally could have won that game had it been for Aaron Rodgers not being a doof during that time. But oh my goodness, like that, it's memories to remember. It's an adventure. That's the main way to avoid it.
Actually, I thought the intro would have been Dom Kof or something like that.
Oh yeah, right.
So, well, yeah. was a little stint with the Steelers. He got us just an AFC North championship, but that's about it. So we can at least
Yeah,
brag about that. So
that's only thing you would expect, especially with Mike Tomlin being the head coach. And now, with the news of what's going to happen at the head coach position, you don't know at this point.
yeah, we shall have to see, but we'll see what happens. I always got a kick out when you keep saying "Ship Me to Heaven" because I keep thinking of Ozzy Osbourne's more so Black Sabbath when they did "Hole in the Sky," and the next lyric was "Take Me to Heaven." That's their deal.
Oh, that one I didn't hear. Believe it or not, I didn't hear that one. I've heard a lot of Ozzy's like popular songs. Like still one of my favorites being "No More Tears." That one's really good, along with some other ones. Like obviously "Crazy Train." Everyone knows. "Bark at the Moon." There's a lot of great songs from Ozzy. I didn't go through the entire discography, but I've listened to a good handful of Ozzy. And it's tough. When musicians like him, they get sent to heaven, and it's at least fortunate to a degree that Black Sabbath had their last show before Ozzy had passed away. So I mean, for the experience of that's at least beneficial, but it's unfortunate because you have so much to remember from Ozzy and what he's done to benefit this amazing metal scene that we have. They are the godfathers of metal, so they know their way around it.
I still thought it was odd when he did pass because it's like the guy did every sort of drug in the book that you could think of, as well as maybe some other crazy
Yeah,
shit in his life.
yeah,
It's
and he
like
dealt with
that's a
Parkinson's. He had so much health related issues, once he got older. So like, what can you do?
I guess speaking of which, is there a particular musician or group you would like to view? Let's start with the living, then I guess you would start with who would you like to visit, regardless if they were living or dead.
Well, living, I mean, you know, living, I would say John Petrucci. I definitely feel like as a guitarist, I'm one of those kind of progressive metal junkies that care about tone quality rather than technicality. So when doing this, these albums for Devoted Fusion, I care more about the tone and the sound quality. That's been our primary focus when working with the releases of that stuff. Um, but technicality, I feel like if meeting John Petrucci, that's like um, one of the main factors that I would enjoy very much because he has so much talent on his guitars. He's pretty much an alien at this point with the way that he works with his stuff. Um, Now, a couple of musicians, if you're talking about the deceased already, Dimebag Darrell and Ozzy would be two potentials that I would really want to enjoy seeing at some point. But um, there's so many influences all around. There's so many difficult choices to choose from, uh, for that matter. But those would be my picks. If anything.
I'd say I would like to see Vinnie Paul. I should see both him and Dime kind of jamming it out together there too.
Yeah, yeah, Vinnie Paul. I think I got to see Hell Yeah when Vinnie Paul was still in the band. There was like a Rock Allegiance tour or festival that was going on in Pennsylvania. About I, I'm not sure how many years ago it was. Maybe it was like 10 or 11 years ago. But I think let me see real quick. I'm just looking something up
He wants to be sure that he
because
doesn't know. Yeah,
yeah, I think I still have that CD. It was 2016. That was 10 years ago that they were giving out these CDs towards the Rock Allegiance festival that was going on. There was a whole list of bands. I know that the headliners to this, Avenged Sevenfold was the main headliner. They had Slayer, they had Chevelle. I stood in the front for Chevelle. They had Hell Yeah, they had Ghost, um, Death Angel was there, but I don't think I got to see Death Angel there. That's all I can remember, but they had way more bands than that. And I remember they were just giving out these CDs as you were walking in, and a majority of these were just songs that could be remembered to this day. A couple of songs just to name, right? Amnesia from Red Sun Rising, that's been a popular one for a while now. Human by Hell Yeah is another. Divided Conquer Them by Nonpoint. My Night Sky from Devil Driver. So some of these were from big name bands here, and I can't believe that was 10 years ago. That's quite an experience. I remember I was going with a friend of mine. He drove me from there and whatnot, and as soon as I was getting back in the car, my legs were done for. I was having this wild headache that occurred, but man, that was a heck of an experience right there. That's something to really kick back and say, wow, that I can't believe that was so many years ago at this point.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Actually, recently, last year was the one I really ventured out and started going to a whole lot of concerts, mostly because they're bigger name bands. And actually, the one this year I'm pretty happy to see is going to be Immolation, but they're coming with a couple of well-known groups like Rotting Christ, Deicide, and Behemoth.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've heard of Behemoth. I don't think I've heard of the other ones, but I know your area, your Pittsburgh area is huge with rock and metal. There's so much that goes on there. And the last time I visited, right before seeing you, I saw 2 concerts with our former drummer Steve, right? Because he's now in the Pittsburgh area. But I got to see Killswitch Engage at Stage AE, and the night after was Disturbed at Paints Arena. So the atmosphere is full of metal. Like I'm fully aware that the concerts and whatnot that you guys have going on there, it's such an amazing experience. Being able to work with so many great metal bands. It's very nice to have that kind of scene there.
That's for sure. I guess you plan on going out to more concerts, whether it's going to be your own concert or whether it's going to be some other groups you probably been wishing to see. I don't know if it's
yeah. There's definitely a lot of great concerts that I've been wanting to see. Some of which I had already seen, which was Dream Theater. They had their 40-year anniversary in the beginning of 2025, and towards the end of 2025 was when they did their entire Parasomnia album in full, along with some other songs to their set list, including A Change of Season. So I was very pleased to see Dream Theater. I think what was also very cool was that I went to see one of those times that I saw Dream Theater was at Nassau Coliseum, which is a very ancient venue at this point. It's been lasting for so many years. It used to be where the Islanders play. Now they moved over to UBS Arena a few years ago, but they used to play in Nassau Coliseum, and that was the place to go to see an Islanders game. But seeing Dream Theater last year in the Coliseum was quite an experience, because I had initially bought tickets that were like, like how they have, in those giant arenas, like the seating areas that are like in the back area and whatnot. So on the day of, the people there had told me that my tickets were upgraded. we actually got tickets to the floor because the back area, it just didn't sell. So we were able to get our seats upgraded, and the seats were right on the floor. So it was really nice to detail it, chairs on the floor. Now, we're not actually sitting on the floor. We're not doing no Viking metal thing. No, the seats were awesome. Like, it was really good. So I think that was an amazing experience. Now, this year, I think we're still waiting to see what is coming out, and with the shows and whatnot. I know that Era is like a good band that I was looking to see. I was trying to get tickets to see Lacuna Coil again for the second time in 2 years, which which would have been great, but I tried buying tickets for the Lacuna Coil show at Gramercy Theater. I tried buying tickets for that for $58 on SeatGeek. 2 days after I purchased it, SeatGeek says, "Uh-oh, we can't process this request." So thankfully, I was not billed for that ticket. I made sure the credit was all good, but then I was trying to find tickets, and they rose the price all the way to $120 for tickets through StubHub. Like, it was terrible. Yeah, but here's the good thing: the last time I got to see them, which was at the Brooklyn Paramount, I got this shirt and I got a meet and greet with the band. So I will take that any day of the week. I love seeing that. And yeah,
all is forgiven.
Yeah, as far as other shows go, I haven't really focused too heavily on that yet, but I have been doing whatever I can around Long Island to try to support as many shows as I can, because I didn't have much of an opportunity to do that in 2025 when focusing on the album. So unfortunately, I do feel bad about, whatever challenges I had to face in 2025, because there were sacrifices that were made in order to complete the album and whatnot. But I think 2026 is going to be a much better year for me to go out and support more shows. So
same here. It starts in March for me. And March, April, and May are all going to be killer months.
Who are you going to see in those months?
First, it's going to be Rise Against. That's going to be the first one to kick off 2026. But then at Preserving Underground, which was a former church, it's more in the suburb of Pittsburgh there. It's Orbit Culture with a band called Of Sulfur. I don't know if you ever heard about them.
I haven't heard of them.
I'm curious.
Orbit Culture I've heard of, but not them.
All right. I'm curious to see what they're like. But to fill out the list, August Burns Red, they're coming with The Amputee Affliction. Okay. That's in April, though. I'm actually seeing...
Nice.
Actually, I'm going to say I've seen Emperor, which I'm curious to see how that turns out. And actually, it was more so the band Blood Incantation that I'm curious to see what they're like, because they're going to be with Emperor as well. And I told you about Immolation, Deicide, Rotting Christ, and Behemoth. Those guys are all together. The Godless Four, as they're calling them. That's in May, though. I'm actually seeing Black Dahlia Murder, which I'm actually very excited to see, because, we were coming back from our vacation from Amsterdam, and it was the night that we were coming back home, when they were playing in Pittsburgh. So I was a little bummed I didn't get to see it, but obviously it was out of my control in that case. But to list off some of the other ones, I want to make sure I don't miss any. Shadow of Intent. That's one I'm actually going to go see. I should come up with a couple other groups. I haven't heard about them before, so I'm curious to see what they're like. Oh, Suffocation. That's another New Yorker group from the Yonkers area, and they're going to
be. Suffocation is well known for our Long Island area too. So,
well, they're coming with Cradle of Filth, who's going to be the headliner. So, I think that's the last one I have for the time being. You know what? I was so torn because, unfortunately, the same night that August Burns Red is going to be playing, there's going to be Whitechapel with Slaughter to Prevail.
Oh my my goodness, the decisions. Like
You know,
it's so tough dealing with so many decisions, and just trying to figure out, yeah, what do you do? I mean, a lot of the bands you mentioned, they are much heavier than the shows I normally go to. But yeah, I've heard good things about Black Dahlia Murder and Shadow of Intent, so I think you'll enjoy that for sure. I didn't really get to listen to like too much of the death metal-ish bands songs or whatnot because well, majority of their lyric writing is so I still have yet to get into that, but you know regardless, have a great time. I'm sure you'll enjoy the concerts that you have coming up. I'm sure we'll all enjoy our concerts that we have coming up. Yeah, we're making matters work with that.
that's for sure. And I guess just to jump into some extra fun questions here. I don't know. Did I ask you last time what do you do in terms of hobby wise? Or are you just more strictly just doing the music and I guess anything else?
Okay, so for full-time job, I am in an aerospace and defense company where I do quality inspection. So I'm very focused on the assets in my full-time job because that's like the main thing I have to focus on while the music is second, right? Um, Other hobbies, I do bowl. I have been bowling for like the majority of my life now, and the average still remains at about a 208 as of right now. So everything's been going nicely for um, the league. Then I bowl on a Thursday night league, but we won with my team that I've had for so many years now. I've known these guys in my team since like probably first grade for one and middle school for the other. So I've known them as friends for like the longest period of time, and we've done pretty well on this league. The last year they split the prizes by halves of this league. It's a 36-week league, so first half is first 18 weeks, and then 19 and 36 for the next half. We won in the first half. We got second place in the second half, so we did really well that year. That was a fantastic year. This year, not so great, but I think the benefit is that you just never know who's going to win. So that's the main thing with this league, and we did a really good job with it. Every single year we just mainly go there to have fun. That's been the majority of it. Um, yeah, I think that's like the main hobby that I focus on. I can't really think of other hobbies that come into play, but I have also been, I will say, I've been paying attention to Twitch recently. There's been a lot of streamers on Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, and Ocarina of Time. So I've been just skimming through some of them and meeting up with some very nice Twitch streamers. They have such great Discord communities and whatnot. So there's been a lot of great activity as far as that goes on there. So, but that's the main hobbies as of right now for me.
Yeah, I tend to keep myself a little busy with the whole drumming. I want to get back into doing video games actually, and even maybe a little computer games. I don't know how well it'll work on this computer, to be honest, but
Oh, so I actually have a question. Did you happen to get like either the Nintendo Switch or the Switch 2?
no, I would say I'm more.
Because I
Not even like a
literally just
sucker.
had in my mind today. I was like, I was doing research on it too because the Nintendo Switch 2, it actually has on their marketplace. They've been starting to put in GameCube games, which is very interesting. One of which being my all-time favorite game, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. So they've been adding some interesting throwback games, which is kind of bringing a bit more interest in a Switch 2 potential. But I don't I don't really know if I want to buy a new console at this moment. I'm trying to, focus on the more important, hobbies and assets as of right now, like the full-time job in band, for example. I have to focus on that stuff. But that was in the cards. It was something that I like because the GameCube games have been a throwback. The N64 games are a throwback as well. Um, but I think just having a nice combination of that stuff, makes a Switch 2 potentially good in that sense.
Never been a Nintendo guy. I know I've tried the Wii a couple times, but that was mainly at a friend's house doing the
Yeah.
NS, that whole deal.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
still have my Xbox, so.
same here. Actually, it's more so PlayStation for me, but I do have a
Oh, okay.
360 that's like right over there somewhere. So
Yeah.
yeah. And let's go ahead and jump into the lottery in this case. So you see sometimes how it reaches $1 billion. So if Sean from Devoted Fusion was to win the lottery after all taxes are paid and everything, what are you gonna do?
That's what I'm gonna do. So the first thing that I would focus on is getting a house, a house, like my own house, mansion, whatever it may be, right? Um, Obviously, taxes would have to be paid off, but it's a matter of just getting my own home that is a lot nicer and much more organized and whatnot. Um, that could be the only first thing that I would ever think of. Second thing would be the car, but I already have a pretty nice, super Crosstrek 2021, so I I have nothing to complain about too much with the car. But when winning the lottery, those are the first two things: the house first, and then the car. So.
What, the recording studio in the basement? The man cave.
Well, when you have the house, then you can recreate the recording studio. You have to have the house first, though.
Then he pictures torture chamber in the basement.
Ah,
So yeah, yes. Something like that. I don't know what I would do, to be honest. I think it might just have to be the house after all debts are paid, as we would say.
Yeah, because it just doesn't make sense. The expenses for finding a home here is just ridiculous. Like who's gonna instantly make more than $400,000 in a year? No one. Like it's just weird with how the economy's been working, and that's the only thing that you could really think of is getting the house first. That's it.
Well, we do want a roof over our heads. That's the first thing I want to do. So yeah.
Yeah, we want this roof or better. That's the main thing.
That's for sure. All right. Well, I think we should be all the questions here, but we are down to one more. But I guess before we jump into it, would you like to ask any other questions for me?
So I'm kind of interested in if you have any more sporting events that you plan on seeing in the future.
Actually, we did talk about that earlier. I think it was the Savannah Bananas, which I guess the problem is because they sold out so well. So it seems like they really did well for themselves. So unfortunately, you're not put on a wait list, if that's what we want to call it. So the sad thing is, I think now you're waiting to see if you're going to get tickets, which I wouldn't mind seeing, but it's like, what are we doing? It's like people on stilts trying to like hit a baseball. They're like Harlem Globetrotters in baseball mitts and like almost sleeveless shirts, to be honest. So I'd say that'd be interesting. And I mean, every now and again we go to a Pirates game because it's always good to get out during the summer nights and all that stuff. That's really about it, really.
Yeah, the Savannah Bananas has been an interesting topic. I do believe that, yeah, you mentioned the Harlem Globetrotters. That was what I did see as a kid. I definitely enjoyed seeing the Harlem Globetrotters, even though I'm not really a basketball person. I've never had all that much interest in basketball, but the Harlem Globetrotters was a great experience to watch, right? So I definitely enjoyed that. The Savannah Bananas, I definitely would want to see as well. I did hear about that from a few local friends of mine when they go on tour, I'm really hoping that I can, snatch some tickets for that one. But yeah, Savannah Bananas, they're tough to get. That they are. I would think that they're the same level of experience as what the Harlem Globetrotters are. That is a tongue twister, is it not? Like that? How the heck is that? It's such a weird tongue twister. But anyways, yes, very similar to the Globetrotters, right? In that sense, it would be a lot of fun to see Savannah Bananas. Because they did go to Yankee Stadium before, so I would anticipate that when they go on tour again, they would head back to Yankee Stadium for that.
There's nothing to see, but in case we are able to see it. My place of business did have a ticket, but unfortunately it happened the night I had to work at my part-time job. So
yeah, it's all right. We find our catch-up moments at certain points.
Eventually. So, all right. But anything else?
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we're closing it out. Let me just say to every single one of you devoted Fusion fans, whether you have or haven't been following us yet, we sincerely thank you for every single one of your support. This has been a very long and patient process for us to finally have the Ship Me to Heaven album release coming in April of 2026. There's been a lot of tough tasks along the way with everything that we've been through, but we're excited to make this album such a huge presence along with the album release shows that we have planned in Long Island, and we are very hopeful that we can expand. With that being said, with having maybe one or two out-of-state shows at certain points, so we are very hopeful that we can make a big presence this year and going forward with the amazing and talented lineup that we have. Brett Senser on drums, Anthony Tria on bass now, to help us with our shows. It's going to be a fantastic experience one way or another, and we have legitimately the best group. Former or current members, we've always had the best group, but this is the most talented group now. So we are very excited about every single thing that we are releasing at this moment, and we hope you guys are excited as well on hearing it. So thank you all very, very much for all of your support.
As just real quick, what sort of advice would you give to other musicians, I guess, in your neck of the woods when they're trying to do something similar to what you guys are doing?
So musicians that are looking to just getting started, whether you're just starting off with a band, whether you're coming back after so many years you haven't done it, main thing I would say as good advice is just don't be afraid of it. I've even with me having a full-time job, I was still able to manage working with getting a full album done all in-house, right? You're talking about editing, mixing, mastering. It's a lot doing that. But if you're just getting started and you're looking to get some shows going, don't be afraid of it. Do whatever you possibly can to just write some songs, get a half-hour set and get up on stage, right? Because the moment that you do, there's going to be just a little bit of nerves that happen at first, but once you get the hang of it, that's where things get easier from there. So be like me, just take the chance, get whoever you possibly can to help you out. Obviously you want to try to get people that enjoy the music as well, the same level of genre of music that works in your favor. That's typically the best bet. But in any sense, best advice I can give is just go for it and don't be afraid of it.
Wear a Nike shirt that says "Just do it."
Just do it. That's what this actually says. Not political. Just do it.
In like very dark colors, you have to like strain your eyes just to look at it too. So
don't look at the wording. I swear it's different.
Even censored. So yeah. So All right. But so just real quick, where can actually any of your supporters or any people who are looking at your group, where can they go check you out in terms of music on streaming and I guess also on social media?
Okay. So we have our merch, our music, our news, all on Devoted Fusion's website, devotedfusionbands.weebly.com, or you can go to the Linktree link, which is linktree/Devoted Fusion. All of that will be right there for you, so it should be pretty easy to find that. The album is available for pre-order. If this is being released before April 22nd, it is available for pre-order on iTunes and Apple Music, and it's also available to pre-save per Spotify before it releases. Bandcamp listeners will also be able to pre-order this album through Bandcamp as well. And with 3 singles they're releasing beforehand, In Ship, Abandoned Ship, and Shipwrecked, I'm sure you'll enjoy all of it. And we hope to have the best results with this album that we did all ourselves. And we hope you guys have an amazing listening experience with this album as well.
All right, sounds good. I just want to make sure, was there anything else in terms of final words or any other questions you want to ask?
Nope. The only thing I forgot to add with the streaming services is In Ship, Abandoned Ship, and Shipwrecked, since it is April right now, those 3 songs are available on all streaming platforms right now. So you can feel free to go through those links that I just mentioned to just find those songs. And like I said, to every one of you guys that has supported us, whether you're a new fan or you've supported us through any of the 10 years that we've been active, we sincerely thank all of you for what you've done to give us that support. So we really do appreciate it every single day.
That sounds good. Actually, it'd be one of those. I've been a fan since the beginning right here. Be like, no, because we only done so many shows. We didn't go to those damn concerts right there because we weren't in Yonkers or Queens. So
we didn't go to the right place.
No deal. You're thinking of something else. You're probably thinking of Bird the Priest or something like that.
No.
So, okay. Formerly Randy Blythe's former band, we should say. But all right. But let's close out like this. So, everyone, today I welcome back Sean Cusack. He's actually part of the band Devoted Fusion. He's my good friend right here, and it's good to see he's doing well out there. He's got some new material out there in the works. He's actually got his shows coming up here pretty soon. So make sure you go hit him up on all social streaming platforms and go to the damn show. Where'd you say it was again?
The album release show, the first one is going to be at Amityville Music Hall on Sunday, April 26th. And tickets are available online and at the door on the day of the show. So
you heard from him right here, and also check him out on his website there too. So, all right, Sean, thank you again so much again for coming on here, mate. So do stay safe because you know there's one pretty fucked up world out there.
It is. Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate coming back onto this podcast. It really means the time. Thank you.
No worries. But quick, strike a pose. Stay tuned, y'all.